Hello. In all of the questions, and this is kind of continuing in the same topic of divorce, but in all of the questions I get regarding how did you have such a nice divorce? How did you have such a good divorce? I get told, you're so lucky that you had a nice divorce. I get told that a lot. You're so lucky. I think I'd like to say, I guess luck can play a part of it in that we were both willing to go forward and make the choices necessary to make the divorce nice. That's a choice that you both make, that you both have to make. So you might say, well, he's impossible to deal with, or she's impossible to deal with, or they're a narcissist. How am I ever going to get anything resolved with this person? They're a monster in marriage. They're going to be a monster in divorce. Look, divorce is never easy for anybody. But if you both want the same thing and work together to form a pattern of behavior that reflects that true sentiment, that's the best thing you can do when there's children involved. There was no choice, okay? You have to do what's best for the kids, not just say you're going to do what's best for the kids. I see people do that all the time. Oh, we're going to do what's best for the kids. And then I see somebody's holding the kid, or they can't go see their parent because they're mad at their ex-spouse, or they can't go to this holiday because I'm going to spite him. And spite him? You have to understand that the only person that you're hurting is the children. I feel so strongly about this. I've written articles about this because it's too much for me when I see people using the children back and forth. I cringe when I see people using the children back and forth to create problems for their ex-spouse. And the only people that do that are the adults. And you might say, well, he's impossible to deal with. Figure it out. You have to figure it out. You have to. Because the only thing that's going to make a child's life harmonious post-divorce is if you both work out your stuff. And if you are using the kids, you're not doing what's best for the kids. You're not doing what's best for the kids. So you might say with your mouth that you want to do what's best for the kids. But over here you're behaving this way and you're clearly harming the children. You are, I've seen it so much, it really makes me sick. So as you go forward and think to yourself, well, how can we do this? How can we go forward? If you are married to somebody, say that they're a narcissist or just impossible, and you're at your wit's end and you're ready to divorce, you have to get to the point that you sit down and you say, now my ex-husband will tell you that this was my design. Because I sat down, and he's from people that are still married, almost 60 years, same parents are still married. That's his life, what he's from. So then he meets me and I say, okay, well, we're going to get a divorce. Here's what it's going to look like. We are on the same team. You're on the same team once you get divorced. That's team children. That's it. It's no longer you against him. If you've decided to divorce, this video is for. I'm not telling you whether or not to divorce. If you're there and you're divorcing, it's no longer about whether or not you two fight. You obviously fought enough that you divorced. So now start being friends. Well, what do you mean? How can't... He's not your husband or wife anymore. So you can arrive at a new place in your relationship, and it looks like this. You sit down and you say, okay, going forward, this is what I did. I said, going forward, here's what's going to happen. As divorced people, we're going to get along. We're a family still. We're going to be able to eat together, take meals together, have dinners together. We're going to be able to be at the kids' sporting events together, at the kids' school things together. Our families are all going to still be able to be in the same room. My parents, his parents. We've all throughout I've been divorced 16 years now almost. And I've had everybody in one room 1,000 times. And it works out. And he will say, he goes, that was Renee's design. There was no way on earth I was going to allow anything that was a fight or an argument that he and I were going to leak into the life. The argument is gone once the divorce happens. You don't care what he's like as a person anymore in a marriage. You divorced him. The argument's gone. There's no reason to argue anymore. And you might say, well, every time I go to pick up the kids or every time he comes here, he has something to say. Well, you have to learn ways to do that. And with a narcissist, they tell you that sometimes it has to be that you only, communicate with him through email or her. Or you gray rock them if they try to pick a fight. If it's not about the kids, you don't respond. You don't react. Somebody has to take the high road. Somebody has to. So if you are getting a divorce and you find that they're still trying to nitpick at you, somebody has to prioritize the children and their well-being and how they're going to see life now with divorced parents. And won't it be easier if their divorced parents can get along well? And won't it be easier if when there's a graduation, everyone can be in the same house? Or confirmation, or any of these things. My ex-in-laws have been here with my parents who are divorced, and there's a new spouse on, my dad's met over 30 years with his, everyone's friends. We're all friends. In one big room, we're all friends because of the child. She's 21 now. But that's it. There will not be any more fighting. There will not be any more struggle. If you want her for this and I need her for that, we adjust schedules. We change schedules. There's flexibility in the schedule. It's not, hey, her cousins are in town. Can she? No, she can't. Are you crazy? If something came up and we needed the daughter to be over, there's flexibility. It makes for a very harmonious life for the children. In my case, one child. And that is the biggest advice I can give you. It's not luck that gives you a good divorce. It is choice. It is absolutely choice. And it's every day. The choices do not end. She's 21. We're still making choices. Right? Just because they're an adult doesn't mean that you don't have conversations with your ex-spouse and, they're thinking of doing this or college that or this or that or friends or holidays. Things come up forever. And as a 53-year-old, I can tell you they come up always. Holidays, Mother's Days, that's one that's right now, okay? How are you going to spend it? How is it going to be peaceful for the child? Are they going to feel a sense of stress inside of them every single time the first day of school comes up because both parents want to be there but they can't be in each other's company? The child's going to sense that. So you, as the divorcees, need to choose, not be lucky and get good behavior. No. You need to consciously choose to have good behavior executed to your ex-spouse with your child in mind. You have to respect each other. That is the parent of your child. You are co-parenting children. Now, if you don't have children and you get divorced, many times I've seen that too with my friends, and they never even speak to that spouse again. There's no children. You're divorced, that's it. It was like an ex-boyfriend. You don't even see them anymore. That's easy. But when there are children, it is your duty. It is your job. It is your responsibility. I don't care how painful it is. And yes, I do mean that. You have to eat it. And you have to make some semblance of order and harmony for your children. You have to. Otherwise, they will go forward and be broken from your broken marriage. They don't have to be broken from your broken marriage. No way. People say divorced kids, there's a damage, and there's divorced kids, and there's a damage. There can also be a flourishing. Because they're out from under the weight of of the argument that was your marriage. They could be very happy now, your kids. Check in with them, ask them. But it's a choice, daily, for the rest of your life. Like I said, I'm 53, I'm blessed. I have my parents who are still with me on this earth. And there are still choices. Every holiday, every single thing that comes up, it's, what are we all going to do? Where are we all going to be? Whose house are we going to be at? It is much easier when you all get along. And that's a choice. You might say, well, I can't choose to get along with him. I can't even be in the same room with him. Learn. Are you kidding, Renee? He was this, this, and this. Learn. And you might say, well, you weren't, your narcissist that you had an experience with isn't the father of your child, so you don't understand. And you might be right. There might be things going along with that I don't understand. And you might have had a hell fire of a marriage. But if it's over now, you have to look at the next 60 years on the planet or 50 years on the planet or whatever it is that you have, and you have to look at your child's life. They still have years and years to go. They still have graduation and marriage and their own children, and you're going to be in the same room as grandparents. One day that'll happen. So how do you want to set yourselves up? It's not luck, it's a choice. And even if you've never gotten along as a married couple, I strongly encourage you to sit down and look at each other and say, these children will not suffer anymore. And we will go forward and find some kind of symbiotic relationship in order for them to be able to have a happy life. That is our job as parents. Period. I will not fault, I will not waver on that decision. So it is absolutely your choice going forward, whether or not you use the kid to get back at your spouse. Oh my God, please don't do that. If you're holding your kid from seeing your ex-spouse because you think it's going to make him mad and he was late last week and getting them back and now you're angry, are you kidding me? Now, you might say, well, my ex is unreasonable. You don't even understand. Okay, well then you need to be the bigger person for your child. That's just the way it is. Somebody's got to step up in the name of the child. Somebody has to. Has to. That's what we signed up for when we had children. It's non-negotiable, unequivocal. Somebody's got to step up for the child. So let it be you, and your child will see that. And then your ex maybe will come around. Life can be much easier if you get along. Even if you have to say, look, this marriage was a disaster. You don't have to bring up his narcissism or her narcissism if that's what it is. You don't even have to bring that up. We agree it's a disaster. We agree we need to part ways. But the one thing that I have in mind is this child now. And she will not suffer 1 second. That's what I said to my ex. And guess what? He loved it. Because he worships her. Of course he does. She will not suffer 1 second from us being divorced. She won't see us fight. She won't. Now, I'm not saying she hasn't through the years. Kids here, you're arguing, of course. But once you're divorced, it's a different kind of argument. It's not the intense, emotionally charged, you're trying to work it out type argument. It might just be on logistics or you disagree on something. For the most part, we've had agreements throughout because that's how we chose to be. So is it lucky I have a good divorce? I guess that both people were willing to be that way, but I set it up that way and I said, this is how it's going to be. And all grandparents appreciate it and all cousins appreciate it. And it makes life easier for everyone to be around each other. So I really do encourage you to please try not to use your kids against each other, to get back at each other. Don't talk bad about your spouse to your children. Don't call names about your spouse in front of your children. Try not to let them hear you talking about your spouse bad to a friend or on the phone with your spouse. Keep all that stuff private now. You're divorced. They shouldn't have to deal with that anymore. You've made a decision and you're going forward. And you have to choose. I can't make it any clearer. It is a choice. Now you might say, well, I tried that. My ex-husband was like, I hate you. I'm never going to be, harmonious with you. Well, you try not to be mean back, and you take the higher road, and you don't ever need to be disparaging to your spouse. My daughter's never heard me say one bad thing about my husband. Nope, I won't do it. I made a choice not to. So she grew up loving her father, loving her mother, knowing that they both respect each other. We didn't work out maritally, but that doesn't mean that we weren't meant to be together. I married the exact right guy. I had the exact right kid. It just didn't work out. I don't think of that marriage as a mistake at all. That's exactly the person I was supposed to marry. So I think as you go forward, divorce is a very, very tough thing already. You're dissolving something that you didn't necessarily think was going to dissolve, and you might be thrilled that you're finally getting divorced. You might be devastated that you're finally getting a divorce. Whichever it is, you need to compartmentalize that over here and deal with those feelings as an adult, by yourself, as a relationship. I mean, not by yourself, but away from your child, because they don't need that burden. I'm sorry, but they don't. So do whatever work you have to do over here. But when it comes to them having a happy life, that's a choice you both have to make for the betterment of your child. That's all I wanted to say. It's extremely crucial for their upbringing. And then everyone eventually will get along. I hope for you. I hope it works out that way. Okay.